Terry Francona has got to stop filling out the lineup card with his heart and start filling it out by putting the best players in to win.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily Cincinnati Reds podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, I'm Jeff, he's Steve, and on today's Locked On Reds podcast a little bit later on, we're going to tell you why Scott Boras coming to Cincinnati means a lot of different things, and a new contract for Elly De La Cruz isn't one of them. In just a few minutes, we are going to break down a performance by Brady Singer that once again begins to erode trust in the Reds pitching staff, but there are a few options out there, not the one that you're thinking of. But we will begin here with Terry Francona and how he fills out the lineup card and why the loyalty, Steve. It's the loyalty with Terry Francona, and it needs to stop. Like, I understand that he is the ultimate players manager and all this other stuff because of his loyalty and his relationship building skills with his players. But at some point, winning baseball needs to trump relationships. And right now it feels like that's not the case.
There was no scenario at all where leaving Ke'Bryan Hayes in with the bases loaded was the right move. You had Nathaniel Lowe sitting on the bench ready to go. You had Sal Stewart who could move over to third, and Nathaniel Lowe could stay in the game at first. There was no reason, no situation, no time ever where the right thing to do was let Ke'Bryan Hayes saunter himself up to the batter's box.
None whatsoever. And to clarify, the Reds lost 10-4, but there was a point in this ball game where the Reds were down 3-2, and they had the bases loaded in the fourth inning. They had chased Miles Mikolas. The Nationals had gotten into their bullpen at the same time, basically, that the Reds got into their bullpen, and the bases were loaded with one out. And up trots to the plate Ke'Bryan Hayes. And here's the thing, Steve. I 100% agree with you. And if that's the case, if the fourth inning is the point where we're like, why is Ke'Bryan Hayes in the game? Then he shouldn't have started in the first place. This is a point we've gotten to now with Ke'Bryan Hayes. He needs to be on the bench. He needs to be a defensive replacement. He needs to be a late game guy. There's absolutely no reason why he should be getting multiple at-bats with guys on base. And here's the thing, this isn't just a one-off. That is his 47th plate appearance so far this year with men on base. This is anywhere, not just runners in scoring position, just men on base in general. 47th plate appearance. He has 5 hits. He has 3 walks. He has 2 RBI. Now, I get it. He's put at the bottom of the lineup because you're not expecting him to come up in those spots. But as they say when it comes to fielding, the ball will find you. That's true in all aspects of baseball. And the ball keeps finding Ke'Bryan Hayes, and we keep wondering why that's the case. Because if he's not in the lineup, then we're not worried about it. And yet here we are.
Well, welcome to the club, Jeff. We'll have some jackets made because I remind you to look about 3 weeks in the rearview mirror when I said everything you just said and got absolutely destroyed in the comment section for days. And there are some of you that owe me an apology, and don't go back and delete your bad takes. I've got the receipts. Some of y'all
you're
owe
right.
me.
Like we were
the
talking
time
about,
has
like,
come.
maybe give him more time. He's given too much time.
No,
the
time is up. There are other things that you can do. And I'm not happy about this. It's not like the Reds are going to cut him. He is not going to be cut. They're going to have to keep him on this roster for a couple years because they owe him not just a little bit of money. They owe him a lot of money. I was accused of hating on him because I didn't like the deal in the first place, and I was piling on. Well, I didn't like the deal in the first place. I have sat back and hoped beyond hope that he would figure it out and get somewhere close to the guy he was in 2023. That is clearly not going to happen. So it is time to make a move, and that move is available to the Reds right now. That move is Sal Stewart playing third base. That move is Nathaniel Lowe playing first base or designated hitter. That move is Spencer Steer on the infield somewhere and not in the outfield. But that brings us to the outfield, Jeff, because while we're shuffling deck chairs, the time has come. And listen, I am a big fan of TJ Friedl. There have been times where he has been a spark for this lineup. There has been times when he's been a spark defensively. There has been times where he did amazing, amazing things on the baseball field. Those times are over. It is time to make a switch. You look at this lineup right now, Jeff. You look at this roster. TJ Friedl before yesterday's game, 267, 274, 541. I'm sorry, I read those out of order. 185, 267, 274. It's not good at all. While I'm sitting down Ke'Bryan Hayes, I'm also sitting down TJ Friedl, and I'm just starting Dane Myers in the outfield. I'm starting JJ Bleday in the outfield, and I'm starting Will Benson in the outfield. And that's just who I go with, because you look at, they may not get a lot of hits against left-handed pitchers as far as Will Benson goes, but he gets on base. He draws walks. He has a much higher base percentage than does TJ Friedl. It is time to make these two moves and strengthen this lineup a little bit and get something done. Do something different. Terry Francona has been filling this lineup card out with his heart, and the time for that is over.
Yeah, and I feel like he is approaching this as I was approaching this a few weeks ago, where I'm just like, look, things could still turn around. Things could still right the ship. We're starting to see some concerning signs with this ball club, and I'm not ready to say that they are like, detrimental to where the Reds want to go, but they certainly aren't helping. And this lineup is the key detractor right now. And you cannot continue to roll out TJ Friedl in the leadoff spot and look at everybody with a straight face and say, we're going for the division, because it's clear something ain't right. And there's a bit of a difference here than with Ke'Bryan Hayes. Ke'Bryan Hayes you're stuck with. And I'll go back to that for just a moment, because I was a proponent for this deal. I thought it was a good deal, and I'm looking real wrong right now, because this looks like one of the worst deals. This might be worse than the Jeimer Candelario deal for Nick Krall. This is a very, very bad move on his part. The thing with TJ Friedl is he's got options, and you could send him down to AAA. And at this point, look, I said it last year with Matt McClain. I say this year with TJ Friedl. Dude needs to see the ball hit the grass. Send him down to Louisville so that he can regain some sort of confidence, because it ain't going to work when you're sitting on the bench.
Who are you bringing up? Who are you bringing up? Hector Rodriguez?
Anybody. Bring up Edwin Arroyo. Put him on the bench. You can play him.
All right, Jeff, you're out of control. You are out of control. You do not bring up the best anymore. You do not bring up the best prospect in AAA to sit on the bench, because the positions you need him to play are not where you're going to sit guys down.
Spencer Steer can stay in the outfield.
Now, if you want to tell me that they'll sit down Matt McClain and play Edwin Arroyo every day, maybe there's an argument, because right now, if you make these two moves, if you sit down Ke'Bryan Hayes and if you sit down TJ Friedl, everybody in the lineup except the catcher has an on-base percentage above 300. That is much better than the lineup they've been running out there right now. The next target, if you make those two moves, if you sit down TJ Friedl, if you sit down Ke'Bryan Hayes, the next guy on the list, if you have somebody better to play, God help us, is Matt McClain, because there's nobody coming. There's not another catcher walking through that door. So then we get to Matt McClain. Then we can have a talk about Edwin Arroyo. But no, you don't bring him up right now unless you're willing to make these other two moves. And there is nobody at AAA that's better as at least a late inning defensive replacement than TJ Friedl, putting him out there right now. So no, I don't send TJ Friedl down, but I get those guys out of the starting lineup. You have to stop playing them full-time at bats. Get the sub 300 on base percentage people out of the lineup every stinking day and try and manufacture some dadgum runs.
We said that he played lineup bingo on Sunday, and so he was like, I'll show them. I'll just run out the lineup that we had a couple of days ago. And well, look what happened, Tito. That was a piss poor performance by this lineup on. Well, listen
to this, Jeff. As fun as the lineup talk has been, coming up, we need to talk about the pitching, because Brady Singer did a lot of things, but inspiring confidence was not one of them.
As baseball season rolls along, you can trade every game over on Kalshi. Literally every single game that the Cincinnati Reds play, that the Chicago Cubs play, the Pittsburgh Pirates, all of them are over on Kalshi. And right now, the Reds are trading at 56% to beat the Nationals tonight, meaning a $100 trade pays out $167 if they win. Feeling pretty good about that one, too. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code LOCKEDON to get $10 when you trade 10. Kalshi. Kalshi. Trade on anything. 18 and up only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory.
Oh my gosh, Jeff Carr, I don't have the voice to fight with you. Stop saying crazy things. Everydayers, we appreciate you being here. Thanks for helping making Locked On the #1 sports podcasting network in all the land. You already live the Cincinnati Reds every single day. Elevate your game. If you're in the audio feeds, the ad-free version of Locked On Reds lives over there as part of the Everydayer Club. $5 a month. $50 a year gets you ad-free Locked On Reds. It also gets you access to the Discord servers where not only us are talking ball, but every single host of every single show, network-wide, talking ball on the Discord. A lot of fun happening over there. The link for that is down in the show description. All right, we got to talk about the pitching now, because what we said was Brady Singer needed to go out there and have a start that kept the Reds in the game, that ate some innings, got through 5 innings, maybe into the 6th, and help the Reds be in a position to win. So what Brady Singer took that to mean was give up a boatload of home runs and be gone in the 4th inning.
Yeah, and look, if you want to say that it was the line drive that he took off of his foot, I don't know that I'm going to fight that. But
could be. It
wasn't as if he wanted to come out of the game immediately after that. He wanted to stay in the ball game, and he got out of the jam that he was in after the line drive hit his foot, because the runners on 2nd and 3rd, but there were 2 outs there in the 2nd inning, and he was able to get out of that jam. It was the very next inning that, man, those pitches that he threw turned into beach balls. It didn't matter what it was. If it was a fastball, if it was a slider, it was spinning, and it was hammered. James Wood did exactly what I thought he was going to do and destroyed a baseball. But then there was also Luis Garcia and Dane Lyle that destroyed. By the way, Dane Lyle's family was like 2 sections over from me. I was sitting over on the third base side of the stadium, and they had a fun night at the ballpark on Tuesday night because Dane Lyle went crazy. And all of this just piles on the fact that this season has been horrible for Brady Singer. And I kind of think, as stuck as the Reds are at catcher and hoping that Tyler Stevenson turns it around, unless they're going to put Brady Singer on the injured list, they're kind of stuck with him too, hoping that he figures it out here soon.
If you go back and watch Brady Singer in last night's game, Jeff, in the 1st inning, he was down right at the bottom of the zone. He was pounding the bottom of the zone, and he was, in fact, below the zone on a lot of his breaking stuff, and the hitters could not handle it. But with every subsequent inning, that ball got higher in the strike zone, and once he got about middle, they started lighting him up. Now, was that a product of getting hit? Could he not plant? Was his foot bothering him? I don't know. That's something the Reds are going to have to address. But you're absolutely right. If there's something wrong with Brady Singer, if he's going to have a bone bruise, bruised foot injury, injured list from being hit by this comebacker, the Reds are in big, big trouble. Now, we talked in yesterday's show about Eric Lauer, about going and getting a guy. I think we got to double down on that. The Reds absolutely have to go get a guy. Now, Eric Lauer is one of the dudes they should at least be considering. You came up with another.
Yes, there was a guy that I did not realize, and I actually saw on X from Steve Mancuso that Chris Paddack is available. Chris Paddack, you may remember, he came up with the Padres, pitched a little bit with the Twins. He was with the Marlins to begin this year. His ERA is not nice. Everything else, his xFIP, his FIP, that stuff actually says he's getting unlucky. And he's had some decent pitches so far this year. He's just kind of not necessarily gotten the best of luck with them. And so there's a chance here that the Reds could just go sign him because he's a free agent. They could sign him and give themselves some depth. Honestly, Steve, at this point, go get both those guys. Go trade a bag of balls for Eric Lauer and bring him over from Toronto and go sign Chris Paddack right now, because the depth that we talked about, and I know that we were getting hammered in the comment section yesterday about this pitching staff back in February, is gone. And as much as we loved it back then, it felt like everybody decided to get hurt in some way, shape, or form in the starting rotation. And now you're at a position where you're desperate to the point that we're talking about bullpen days. We're talking about Davis Daniel. And outside of Tim Daniel having a really good reason to buy a Reds jersey, I don't really want to see Davis Daniel up here in the major league level. So go get Chris Paddack and Eric Lauer, and I'll feel better about this just a little bit.
Let me tell you how desperate we're not. Folks, everydayers, Jeff and I read the comment sections. We don't reply to every single comment, but we read the comment sections. I can't believe I'm going to do this. All of you guys that were in the comment section after yesterday's show, just typing the words Trevor Bauer, talking about Trevor Bauer. Go get Trevor Bauer. You guys, Trevor Bauer got cut in Mexico. Trevor Bauer got cut in Asia. Trevor Bauer is now pitching the equivalent of maybe AA. That might be the level of the talent he's pitching against right now. Maybe if you squint real hard, those are AA type talent guys. Trevor Bauer is not going to see a big league mound again. Stop. Just stop. Let's go get viable solutions to the Reds pitching problems. Let's stop wasting time and energy and comments on Trevor Bauer. Now, if you guys want to keep jumping in the comment section and typing Trevor Bauer, whatever, I'm not going to address it again, but I figured I would speak to it because, times are hard. They're not that hard. There are options the Reds could go get to help bona fide this bullpen, the starting rotation, and protect the bullpen.
I would rather see Davis Daniel than Trevor Bauer. So we'll definitely put that out there. And everybody's talking about, man, he threw a no-hitter the other day. Yeah. Did you see how his team celebrated that? They acted like he wasn't even there. You know why? Because Trevor Bauer's personality is still Trevor Bauer's personality. And what you and what I have just said about Trevor Bauer has nothing to do with what everybody tends to argue about him. We are talking about his performance.
None of the off-field stuff. I'm talking about how he pitches.
We are talking about what matters. What matters to the team is performance and how he is in the clubhouse, and neither of those match up with what the Reds need right now. He last pitched in the major leagues in 2021. Why are we we're done. We're done talking about Trevor Bauer. That's all you'll hear about him on this show the rest of this year. Go get Eric Lauer. Go get Chris Paddack and make this pitching staff better, because coming back to this, the reason we're here is because Brady Singer is supposed to be Mr. Reliable, and at least to his credit, he's healthy. But that's literally all we can say right now, because everything else has been so rough. And to me, like, his next start needs to be 5 innings at the very least for me to feel any kind of confident in him, because we're getting to a point that down the road, and God help us if we're constantly shuffling guys in and out and this isn't even an option. But if we get to a point where Rhett Lauder is healthy, Hunter Green is healthy, Nick Lodolo still healthy, Andrew Abbott and Chase Burns all still healthy. Like, at that point, the only reason that Brady Singer should be in the major league rotation is if you're trying to give Chase Burns rest on his innings limit for whatever that is for 2026. Because as of right now, he is not one of the best 5 pitchers on a healthy Reds pitching staff, because he's looking really bad.
Before we get out of the pitching segment here, Jeff, I did want to ask you about one more guy. Not a starter. I want to talk about the bullpen for just a second. Are we concerned about Tony Santillan? Are we
Yeah,
getting worried?
that was
I'm
a fat
starting
pitch.
to
That
get
was a fat pitch.
starting to get worried about Tony Santillan. He just doesn't look like he quite has a feel for it.
Yeah, the home run that he allowed on Tuesday night was on his breaking ball, not on a fastball, but his breaking ball got hit out of the ballpark. And when that's happening, yes, I cannot overlook that and say, no, everything is fine. I am a little bit worried about Tony Santillan.
Well, I know this, Jeff. It's not fun right now. It's not pretty, but there are ways that the Reds can win. We've outlined a few of them right now. There was a buzz in town, though, here recently. Elly De La Cruz went out to dinner, and it's his dinner guest that has everybody talking. We're going to talk about that dinner meeting at Jeff Ruby's coming up next. If you've ever opened your bank account and thought, where did all my money go? You're not alone. Keeping track of subscriptions, spending, and bills can get overwhelming fast. That's where Rocket Money comes in, helping you take control of your finances all in one place. It tracks all of your subscriptions in one spot and can help you cancel the ones that you don't need with just a few taps. It automatically categorizes your spending so that you can actually see where your money is going, and you can set budgets, you can set alerts, you can get notified and stay on top of your upcoming bills. It just makes everything more organized and gives you a clearer picture of your finances day to day. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon.
You can continue the conversation with us after the show is over. You can follow me on X and on TikTok at Jeff Carr with 3 Fs. You can follow Steve on X at S Offenbaker with 2 Fs. And you can follow the show at Locked On Reds on every social media app out there. And come commiserate with us during the game, because quite frankly, man, I was bummed on Tuesday night. I thought we were going to see a better game than that. And look, if they would have lost and it would have been a close game, I think I would have been feeling completely different. But it was a non-competitive ball game because of a couple of different reasons, whether it be Brady Singer's bad start, whether it be Ke'Bryan Hayes coming up in the most important moment of the game and grounding into a double play that ends the inning. Like, all of those things are just so rough right now. But we had a moment on Monday evening where Elly De La Cruz posted on Instagram that he was at Jeff Ruby's. There was like a Reds hat cake. I think it was a cake. And other things happened. He was a tableside service of something. I couldn't quite tell what that was. And Scott Boras was with him. Scott Boras, of course, is his agent. Many people think player agent in Cincinnati, maybe good things happening. It wasn't with the contract, though, because as Nick Krall confirmed shortly after the social media post kind of went a little bit viral around town, he said, no, there is no new updates on any sort of long-term contract with Elly De La Cruz. I really wish that would have been something else, because at this point that would have been fun to see as well as he's playing. But we would like to remind people that Scott Boras is not going to sign a long-term contract for Elly De La Cruz in the city of Cincinnati before it is time for him to become a free agent.
And that's not a Cincinnati thing, folks. That is a Scott Boras thing. Scott Boras has said, he has told members of the media, his philosophy is that there is no benefit for a hitter to sign a deal with a team without hitting the open market. If the Reds offered Elly $500 million over X whatever years right now, Scott Boras would turn that down and tell Elly, the Dodgers are going to give you more. This other team over here is going to give you more. You have to
Yankees,
get to
the Cubs,
that's just the philosophy. So Scott Boras is never going to agree to that. What's more likely is Scott Boras was in town to just check in on Elly, talk to him about their other business ventures. You know, Elly's got the Jumpman deal. Elly's got lots of other things that earn him money that his agent handles that's not just his baseball contract. So I know it was fun to get excited for a hot second, but there is no, I hardly ever put there is a 0% chance of something happening on anything in the baseball world. There is a 0% chance that the Cincinnati Reds and Elly De La Cruz reach a contract under the current economics of baseball. Now, if something crazy happens in the next CBA, we can revisit this conversation. But as baseball is structured right now, there is 0% chance that the Reds and Elly De La Cruz reach a deal before Elly hits the open market.
Let me ask you this, because I see all these like if this or if in all these comparisons, and like some people are saying, would you rather have Elly or would you rather have Sal, or would you rather do this, or what's more likely to happen? Let me tweak that a little bit. If I told you got 5 more years now, understanding that the final year of Elly's rookie contract is 2029, you add 5 years to that, or the Reds advance in the playoffs this year. But I don't tell you how far. I just say they advance. Which would you rather?
I want to win. Just give me the wins.
I have a hard time saying that I want to win. I would want to win, obviously. But if you're telling me I could have Elly for 5 more years after that, then I think my hope would be that they win in the playoffs next year. But I don't know, man. Like, which episode would be crazier as far as like how happy we would be, an Elly extension or playoff series advancement? And I say like division series. I'm not saying going to the World Series. I'm saying like they advance past. And okay, let's say this: they advance past the wild card.
I want to win. Okay. You're phrasing, this is the same question. I could ask this back to you 10 years ago. Would you have rather they signed Joey Votto to that 10-year deal, or would you have rather that they only had him for his initial 6 years, but they went to and won the World Series twice in those 6 years?
Won the World Series, yes. You can move one playoff series.
Give me the wins. You never know what happens in the next round. Give me the wins.
Okay. Because I feel like there's something to Elly, man. He's really taken that step. And I know that people aren't wanting to hear it right now because the team is scuffling a bit, as much as they're still over 500. But it seems like there are some cracks in the armor right now for the Redlegs. But Elly is not one of them. Everything about Elly's game right now is screaming what we have hoped for with him. He's hitting over 290. I think I didn't see what his batting average was after he got out in his final at bat, but
292.
He's hitting over 290 right now. He's slugging over 500. All of his fielding metrics are positive. He's not made a ton of errors. Like, there's a point here where we're looking at Elly and we're saying all-star starter feels like where he's headed. And there's a chance that he's going to be in the MVP conversation at the end of the year, especially if the Reds can right the ship here. But certainly by his individual performance, he's going to put himself in that conversation. And so for me to extend that and to have him longer here, I would love to see that. But I also hear the counterpoint of, well, they did that with Joey and we saw how that worked. So it's hard for me to say that I feel strongly about, the Elly extension and an advancement in the postseason does feel like that would be the more, but it's so unlikely at this point that we see him.
Are you concerned that he's not hitting for power right now?
Maybe he's slugging over 500.
Well, he's only hit 1 home run in the last 2 weeks.
Oh, he's got 10 home runs. I think he's bad. Like, I think right now he's kind of trying.
You're not concerned.
No, okay. I'm not concerned. I think that is like the pinnacle, and I'm sure somebody's going to talk about his strikeout rate, but like,
well, no, that's not why I brought it up, though. Let me tell you why I brought it up. They haven't given him a day off yet, and his power numbers are slowing down, and we're heading towards June. So, yeah. I'm just curious. Could the things be related?
On the list, I think that there's probably something to that. But I think if we continue to see it like another week and another week, then I will be more concerned. But on the list of things that are wrong with the Reds, Elly not getting a day off yet is on there, but it's down below a lot of other things.
Our buddy Rico Suave is already making up that banner. Elly played 162 in back-to-back years. That's what we're doing, buddy. And
he's going for Cal Ripken's record.
On that note, that is where we're going to wrap up this edition of Locked On Reds. Thanks, as always, for making Locked On Reds your first listen each and every day. We appreciate you being here. Thanks for helping make Locked On the #1 sports podcasting network in all the land. For the audio folks, go check out the Locked On MLB feed. Lots of great stuff going on over there. We've got Sully covering Major League Baseball from a national perspective on his show. We've got former Reds reliever Mike Stanton covering Major League Baseball from a retired player's perspective over there. And we've got the folks at MLB Game Night watching every single game, every single night, so that you don't have to. And then they're telling you what happened. We'll be back in your feed tomorrow, gathering up all the news, the notes, the rumors, the reports, and the information to keep you locked on Reds every single day.
It was nice to have the Kona Big Wave on the 3-2-1 Tuesday, though. That made
did you
this
wear
a
that
little
out?
bit easier to bear. It was a little bit easier to bear. And they sold out of it real quick, though. Like,
I bet they have like 3 cases. You know, Castellini's not going to spring for the good stuff.
$3 Kona Big Wave. Somebody probably told him that, and he was like, "We're doing what?"